Hello, my name is Cristina Hoffman. I'm going to be walking you through a lesson that I've been working on with one of the students that I work with during my tutoring session. Her name is Jada and she's in 3rd grade. Her biggest weakness is her reading comprehension, so I've designed my lessons to show her strategies that will increase her reading comprehension. This first lesson is done over 2 tutoring sessions because it takes 2 to 3 hours to work my way through the entire lesson. So the aim of the lesson is how can we better understand what we are reading, and by the end of the lesson I'm hoping that Jada will be able to demonstrate her understanding of a text by discussing and answering reflection questions based on the text. By the end of the lesson, she will be able to identify character traits and describe a character. And lastly, by the end of the lesson, she will be able to demonstrate how to make connections between the text and herself. The materials that I'm using for the unit is the book Trouble Talk, the lesson by Trudy Ludwig. So it really relates to what Jada would be seeing in school right now, connections with friends. So I think it's easier for students to understand what they're reading when they can make a connection to it. To start off the lesson, I will be asking Jada, have you ever been in a situation where someone said something to you that was not true? If she answers yes, I'm going to say, well, that's actually what we're going to be reading about in the book Trouble Talk. If she answers no, I'm going to say, okay, so we'll talk about situations that have to do with that, if not. So previously, Jada has been introduced to 2 different posters. The first one is readers use Post-its to show their thinking. I have Jada use this throughout our tutoring sessions. She'll get different Post-its depending on they can range in color and sizes. But if she really likes a part, she'll do LOL for funny, laugh out loud. Important part, she'll star it. A surprising part, she'll do an exclamation point. Favorite part, she'll do a heart. Confusing part, exclamation point, and a bubble for a part that makes me predict. These can be used in any type of form. There's a lot of variations to them. Usually I try to have Jada write when she does her Post-it notes. The second piece is ways to understand what we were reading. Think about your thinking. I'm thinking, I'm wondering, I'm noticing, I'm picturing. It reminds me of I'm figuring it out. I just learned. So while we're reading, Jada has these next to her so that she understands what she's talking about, and these are good sentence starters for her to really get her thinking. So those we use throughout the tutoring sessions, and we'll also use them today. So to start off, to really help Jada understand her reading comprehension, I decided that I'm going to take this book, Trouble Talk by Trudy Ludwig, and I'm going to read it to her. This is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. That's why I have the lesson over time. But what I do is I start with the first page. And I really like this because it's based on her grade level, but I'll start reading the book to her. And then once I get to page 6, I'll ask her questions based on the book. And just for example, it would say, what does Bailey use the words no offense for? Or do the words no offense make what Bailey said to Kesha less offensive? Why or why not? And throughout the lesson, I'll flip through to various parts of the book, and she will stop and ask questions, we'll stop and pause, we'll stop and think, we'll comment what I'm thinking, what I'm wondering, what I'm noticing, I'm figuring this out, I'm just learning this. I also have, so each not every page, but about every 2 or 3 pages where significant parts, I stop and I pause and I read it and we really examine what's on each page. So that brings me to my Post-it note reading. This is where Jada will take the Post-it notes that she's used. So she writes her name, she writes the book title, and I give them 4 or 5 copies of these throughout. So we put the Post-it here, and it serves as an assessment for me, and we put the page number that we found the Post-it. So this could be including her thoughts from Post-it show they're reading, or it could be I'm thinking, I'm wondering, and adding on to there. After we read the book, which again will take about an hour, we work to complete the graphic organizer that I created for Jada. It has a character in the middle with the characters' names, and she really is artistic. She loves drawing. It's one of her strengths. So what I like to do is have her draw the character. She can copy it from the book. She could do it on her own. We write the title, we write the author, because it's really important that the students do know who's writing these books. So on the top, it's character problems. How did the character solve the problem? Character traits, how did the character change over time? And what do you know about the character? So from there, we fill this out together and we work through it, and I have printed character trait worksheets for her, which will give her the what the characters are. And I really happen to like this worksheet because it gives her other meanings for nice, mean, sad, positive, negative, confident, different words to get Jada thinking. So after we fill all that out, I allow Jada to pick the character. So there's two main characters, Maya or Bailey, and she's allowed to pick the primary characters. I try to stay away from the secondary characters when we're filling out these worksheets because it's sometimes hard to get a lot of information from a character doesn't appear often. When we finish this, which will probably take us a good 45 minutes to work through, really find good descriptions, I check Jada's work and I give her the assessment. The assessment is 5 questions. They're kind of free-ended questions. For example, what does Bailey really doing? Is Bailey really doing Kesha a favor by telling her the truth in Truth or Dare? Why or why not? Some are inferential questions, some are literal questions, some come right from the book, some make her think, because those are different reading type of strategies that Jada needs to work on. The end part has her, practice what we were working on the worksheet, describe one character trait that describes Bailey and Maya, and one action that shows the trait. So as the students get older, they have to show evidence. Where did you get your information from? So this really has Bailey, she is to pick a character trait. So if she says Bailey is mean, she needs to go back in the book and find the page where Bailey was being mean to show her evidence and show that she's not just making it up. And when we're done, I allow Jada to look it over, and then we go over it together, and I grade it with her so she sees what she got wrong and what she needs to work on. And that is that for this lesson. And then again, this will continue throughout the unit. The readers use their Post-it notes to show their thinking and ways to understand what we are reading. Thank you.